ace match of SK Telecom T1 versus the Afreeca Freaks. The Afreeca Freaks have made it this far against the best team in Pro League.
The best team in the world, Valdez.
Now they're challenging for that top spot. They want to win this one, and if they can, that would be gigantic.
Huge. Huge. Huger than gigantic.
Huge.
But it's not going to be an easy matchup. Sue versus Alive. Alive, like I mentioned before, back to his Wings of Liberty, best of his old times level. He's looking very powerful. Surprising to me even that we didn't see him in the Freaks' lineup. Maybe they were readying him for this one possibility, this one match in the Ace. But I don't think they could have predicted that it was going to be against Sue. Maybe they were expecting a TBT, because that's Alive's, in my personal opinion, best matchup right now, the TBT. But now he has to face off against Sue, who already won once earlier in this very matchup. All right. Alive's only vote comes from the Monday caster, and he's been pretty on point today. So 1 and 6 as Valdez gets the cough I had earlier.
Oh my God, what did you do to me, Wolf?
It wasn't me.
You fed me some of that popcorn.
Popcorn's great.
Oh man.
I coughed before the popcorn. Don't put this on me.
Well, the popcorn took my life tonight. That's okay. Because we are going to go into this match. You guys saw the 6-1 Sue, the heavy favorite, up against Alive here. But Alive, I mean, we haven't seen him in a while. He didn't have the best games the last time we saw him, but he could have been practicing for exactly this, as you were saying. So let's see if Alive can do it and bring Afreeca Freaks to a win over SKT, or will Sue keep them at the top here in the Ace match. Down here in the bottom left, in the orange, the Zerg player from SK Telecom, it is Sue.
And over here to the top right, in purple, his opponent only fielded for the Ace. It is Alive. Sue winning one match today already in a different matchup versus Patience, but he brings them here to the Ace, fights them back into this best of 5. And this is the second time in a row that SKT will have to go the distance and go to the Ace match in order to win. If they even win it, they could lose this time.
It's interesting that this keeps happening, you know. SKT really struggling here in the beginning of round 2, maybe resting on their laurels a bit too much, saying, hey, we're the best, you know, we don't have to practice, whatever. We got Darla, you know, he's really good. But these teams that are, you know, fighting for that spot, MVP, they want their first win. They want to do much better in round 2. The passion is coming back. These players are preparing for their best of ones and actually getting wins where everybody thought it was impossible. Afreeca Freaks, you know, making it into the playoffs. They want every single game that they play to matter. And you said at the beginning of this matchup that, like, it's not even about defeating SKT. Sometimes it's about how many games you can get against SKT, or how many games can you stop them from taking away from you.
Yeah.
And they've already won 2. So even if they lose here, it's only a -1 against SKT, where a lot of other teams are going to be going 0-3, 1-3. You know, you're not going to see a lot of 2-3s against SKT, let alone wins, which very rarely happens.
Yeah, it's really, when you look at the teams, and we can break this down a little bit more for maybe some people weren't watching earlier, but when you look at the teams that do the best, however many points you can avoid throwing away on those are important. Like if both the Freaks and MVP lose to SKT-T1 here, but Samsung goes 0-3 and Jin goes 0-3, then suddenly you're in a better position for playoffs. Whereas like SKT is probably still going to take first place because they're not dropping any game or any series. Still, the fact that you did better versus the other teams in the round robin gets you better indicator points, which we saw last playoff for round 1. The Freaks barely got in because they got a 3-0 in the final match. Any other score would have had Samsung in the finals. Every single point matters. And when you're going up against the best, going to an Ace match is a great feeling, even if you don't take it. But they are looking for this win. Alive going to do a Reaper opening here as he does go into double CC, another greedy build here from the Freaks Terran.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting. I mean, on this map, you got to go all the way cross-spawn, two-player map. You know where your opponent is, but it's sometimes very hard to get Overlords into that position specifically. The one right where that CC is planted, that's where you see all the Protosses hide their tech, you know, because they know that the Overlord's going to spot on the high ground over there at the natural, and one is going to come from the right side. So you don't want to put your tech there or, you know, whatever build you're going for, your CC, whatever, on the right side of your base, because then the Overlord can just poke its head in and see everything.
Yeah,
So,
and there are some exceptions as a map where you would do this because you have to get your third CC landed really fast at the base that's below the ledge. But on this map, you normally take the base that's to the left of your natural at the top spawn. So that even further, you know, reinforces your point. He's not going to be putting that down there. The Overlord is going to commit here to the scout. And we'll see this barracks. And that's all, but Alive will see the Overlord is there, can push this away if he wants to.
yeah, and again, I mean, we say this about pro players all the time, but Sue goes in there and he sees those production buildings. He's like, oh, okay, he's probably got a third CC. As long as there's nothing down in the low ground, which there generally would not be, he's like, okay, you know, you've got 2 racks. Maybe normally you wouldn't get that out as fast. Maybe you'd be going for a drop play. An earlier starport, you'd be getting out a tank if you were going, you know, for 2 base at this point, perhaps. And so he's just going to back off. He's not going to sacrifice that Overlord because he's got a decent idea of the build of Alive already.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because what else could there be? Like, the only area he has vision of the natural. The only area there could be is like maybe 2 extra barracks to the top of the base. That would be like what helped Byung beat Sue in Star League with those timing pushes with fast stim and big bio attacks. But he knows without a shadow of doubt, realistically, that this is going to be a much more eco build. And now with the Overlord spotting the E-base, he 100% knows. He's got his own double upgrades coming up much faster, in fact. And unlike his teammate Dark, he's totally cut out Overlord speed. He's confident enough with these slow Overlord scouts that he knows what's going on. He is going to play a longer macro game, and this shows a lot of confidence. Not even having to scout to feel safe, just going, no matter what Alive throws at me, no matter how we go toe-to-toe in a macro game, I could defeat him.
Yeah, and also unlike his teammates, he's not going to go for a fast hive here. In fact, a very late lair coming out on the map right now. He's committed to already saturating his 3 bases, up to 58 drones in total now. Pretty much no pressure on the map from Alive allows him to do this, but he's also going to get that Baneling Nest now, and he may even transition into that Spire here as well. You know, this map definitely not as defensive as Dust Towers if you are going to go for that 3-base ultra kind of play. So I do understand the build from Sue, as well as I think it just fits his style more. I don't see him as that guy who's going to rush to ultras like Dark would.
Yeah, just not the same sort of play style. And Bomber showing us how to beat those ultras with a totally different style than what we're seeing from Alive here so far. I suppose Alive could add some additional barracks at his 3rd base. That's what Bomber was doing. It also gave him the ability to reinforce a lot faster. Good control here, actually, with the Hellion. Escapes from the watchtower. Double drop heading over towards this 4th base. A scout also confirmed that there were not a ton of units, not a ton of defenses at the 3rd, but I think he's still going to commit to the 4th. And just come over here and see if he can force a cancel. The base is about 90% complete, so it may be finished before he arrives. He does have stim, no combat shields yet. 1-1 also on the way. If this drop stays long, he will have combat shields and 1-1.
Here's the stim coming into that 4th base, and Sue's very out of position. All the lings going on the left side of the map. He will be able to focus this down easily.
Yep. Gets out without a single scratch. No Baneling speed either. Going to pick up at the last second. Doesn't lose a single Marine. Forcing that remake. 2 more medevacs coming across the map as well to rejoin this. Baneling speed is about to finish. 1-1 is done. Combat shields are done. And a ton of extra barracks being added here. Let's see what composition he builds. Meanwhile, Sue going for a Baneling morph by, run by over there.
Morph by. I like it. This is, you know, this is the old style. Heart of the Swarm, Dark play. Loves to just run by the Banelings, but there is already a wall. And look at this, going to get a full surround, but Alive does pick up. And here are the Banelings, and there's no defense.
Yeah, that's not the way you run and roll your SCVs. Losing only 6 so far, make it 8. And there's no follow-up, even these SCVs, to chase them down. Looks like he's going to kill just a few more here. Oh, I take it back. 10 in total, but another hatch is denied, and more creep spread pushed back here by Alive. Now, that was an expensive exchange for SCV. It's going to cost him a decent amount of gas for all the Banelings he committed to. And Alive is hitting his 2-2. Su's 2-2 is faster. He's getting just a few mutas out right now. Most likely going to be to help snipe the medevacs that come across, you know, because his Banelings are forcing lifts, and he can actually pick off those medevacs. Harassment's still an option as well.
Yeah, now Alive moving out once again. Su in position here to defend. I'm not sure if he wants to take a fight off creep. Alive has been pretty on top of clearing the creep on the left side of the map, at least. It's a bit harder on the right side, right near those bases, but you can see the left side pretty sparse in terms of creep. And now Alive just waiting for his 2-2, I think, before he does want to do too much else. He may try to drop, perhaps, before then. Overgrowth, definitely a map where you can drop straight into the main. That's why it's very important for the Zerg to get that creep out there, so you can scout any drops that are coming in. Get your Overlords in position. Make sure you don't get dropped from that position.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you notice that Overlord on the left side even. I'm sure that's what you're basically highlighting, is he just has full vision. This is a very similar composition to what Bomber built, but you know, he's not trying to hit a timing, he's not trying to hit before ultras or anything like that. He has a more heavy Marine count than he has Marauders. He has a few Hellbats in here from the earlier harass as well. And it's tough to engage this off creep. Alive also positioning his Marauders at the front with those Hellbats to block for those annoying, pesky Banelings. Kills a few more Tumors here. Not committing to a big fight just yet, but his 2-2 is about to finish, which will put him on even upgrades. And Su still doesn't have a Hive started. Doesn't have an Infestation Pit as far as I know.
Yep, none of that. He's going old, true style. Get that 2-2 and just make a million Banelings. Not even that many mutas. I mean, he has gone up to 16, which is not bad, in fact. To take that back a bit, you know, he is making a decent sum of mutas here. And here we go! Splitting on the creep here is Alive, but Su is going to push forward onto that creep. Banelings rolling through. A nice split, but there's so much Zerg!
There's so much Zerg indeed. All the Marauders do tank, but they don't tank enough. And Su just gets way too good of an exchange here. A lot of the supply that's left for Alive is in medevacs, and they're getting picked off by those 16 mutas. 19 of them now. Another medevac goes down. Su will have to back off here, but an insanely good trade, and his 5th base is finally secured. He's got +1 for his mutas. The only thing he could really reasonably do to advance himself in this game, especially with the creep speed he has, is just tech up to Hive and get ultras, and I think that's pretty reasonable. You know, I wouldn't mind it. He's got so much comfortable, like he's got so much comfort here with the base that he has now.
I suppose he could do that, but it looks like he wants to just end this, perhaps. Here come the Banelings again, and what a huge hit there. And he is going to run up now with the rest of his lings. The medevacs are going to be focused down here by the mutas too, getting on top of everything.
And a lot of the Banelings did die earlier to that Widowmine. He just has a ton of mutas left over regardless, though. More Banelings coming in, crashing into mostly Marauders, but here comes the next wave of Banes. And I think this is actually just going to end the game, Valdez. GG!
Su will take it and bring SK Telecom to the win against the Afreeca Freaks. Very, very well done. And that did look a lot like in the old Heart of the Swarm game, but I have to say, if Alive not adding in enough Widowmines there, the fight, there were so many Lings and Banelings, that would have been such a juicy minefield, but instead he goes for the Hellbats, a large group of Marauders in the front as well. Doesn't get the splits he wants, even off the creep.
Yeah, the splits not as good as they could have been, and not enough AoE to deal with those Banelings. The Baneling hits were just insane earlier, or rather, I guess at the beginning of that fight is what I'm trying to get out here, but Su will secure yet again SKT's 2nd win, which will put them at a 2-0 +2 indicator score up there with Jin Air potentially, but really impressive play from Su today especially. He really carried the team to victory with some upsets and some shy moments. Su having a chat with Classic, someone who's been very much off the radar, out of SSL, out of GSL, has not been fielded in Pro League. Just, you know, one of the old greats of Pro League, a GSL and SSL champion, one of very few. But yeah, Alive came to play, had a solid early mid-game, but could not stand up to Su's overwhelming Baneling army. Part of the Swarm style, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and a very fun game to end the night there. Su just, you know, Alive looked in it when he did snipe that 4th base. He had that 2-2 timing and a nice push coming there, but definitely needed more AoE, as we were talking about. Was not ready for it. The macro from Su was really nice too. got just so many units out there very, very quickly. And it just overwhelmed the live. So here is our results. Super and Bomber take out Innovation and Dark, respectively. And then Sue takes out Patience. Dream takes out Curious. We go to the ace match, Sue versus Alive, which Sue is able to take once again. So 2 wins for Sue and another win for SKT.
Dream picking up that win as well, really important for him. As we were talking about earlier, not fielded as much this season, but I think with his GSL performance, which we also talked about a lot during the GSL cast, you get more play time. It means he's probably going to be fielded much more often. So SK Telecom jumps up to second place. They are just 2 indicator points behind Jin Air Greenwings, but again, every single point counts so much. And a win for KT Rolster tomorrow, period, no matter the score, will actually put them ahead of SKT as a result.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Stats suffering the recent loss there in the championship. He gets to the championship, but is not able to close it out, so may not be on point as much as he would like to be there for that game.
Sue jumps up 7 spots with his double win today, putting him at number 3, just behind Maru and Zest, 1 win away from catching up to the 2 of them. So a very huge jump up, and that will be the second SKT player up here at the top. Maru's still holding it, tied with Zest with their 7 wins. But very nice for Sue personally as a result, and no doubt he will be the MVP. We're about to